A slow pan sweeps across a dusty, bustling mining town at dawn. The air still cool, the streets stirring to life. In the distance, the rhythmic clink of picks against stone echoes through the rising light. As the noise of the modern world falls away, we journey back to the rugged core of the American West, to the 1870s, a time of fierce ambition and fleeting fortune. Here, civilization clung to the edge of wilderness, its rules as rough and shifting as the land itself. In this harsh, male-dominated world, some women claimed space not by luck, but by strategy and strength. Among them was Catherine, a madam at the helm of a thriving establishment in a booming mining town. She didn't deal in gold, but in intuition, management, and survival. Her business was built on understanding people, reading their needs, and navigating a world that was quick to judge and slow to forgive. Settle in as we trace the threads of her life, the choices, the compromises, the quiet power she held. This is the story of a woman who thrived not in spite of the frontier, but because she knew how to live within its rules and bend them when needed.
Inside the Golden Lily, Catherine's brothel, the hush of dawn reveals an interior that is both elegant and unmistakably lived in. Soft lamplight glows over an inviting parlor, where plush velvet chairs are arranged for conversation and comfort. Lace curtains filter the early light, casting delicate patterns across polished wooden floors. A well-stocked bar gleams in the corner, its shelves lined with fine bottles, whiskey, gin, brandy, each one accounted for in Catherine's precise ledger book, always within reach. The Golden Lily was far more than a place of fleeting pleasures. It was Catherine's stronghold, her livelihood, and her statement of hard-won autonomy. In an era when most women were bound to kitchens, laundries, or poorly paid toil, Catherine claimed what few dared to grasp: independence, property, and a measure of power, earned not through luck, but relentless discipline and sharp calculation. Her days did not begin with sweeping floors or tending hearths, but with the rustle of papers and the scratch of a pen. Every silk dress purchased for the girls, every glass poured, every coin earned was meticulously tracked. She often kept two ledgers, one honest and detailed, the other carefully edited for the prying eyes of lawmen, tax collectors, or self-appointed moral guardians. This careful balance, one world polished for public view, another run on cold pragmatism, was the secret to her success. Each lace curtain, each polished banister, every whispered transaction spoke of a woman who carved out her own space in a man's frontier, building her sanctuary one discreet choice at a time.
The Golden Lily drew its profits from more than one source. The mainstay, of course, came from the services offered by the women under Catherine's careful watch. Each earning shared, with Catherine often claiming a sizable 50% to cover the cost of protection, overhead, and her own hard-won profit. Yet the true wellspring of wealth was often the bar. Bottles of whiskey and gin, bought cheaply and sold dear, flowed night after night, loosening tongues and opening wallets far more easily than coaxed conversation alone ever could. Private rooms added another quiet income stream, discreet spaces for business best kept from the prying eyes of the street. Catherine knew that real success wasn't just about the services sold, but the atmosphere surrounding them, the promise of privacy, the hint of refinement, the sense that here one's secrets were safe. Her own presentation was part of this careful illusion. Fine silks, tasteful jewelry, an air of calm command, these were not indulgences, but deliberate choices. They drew in wealthier clients, the sort willing to pay more for comfort and confidentiality. Discretion was everything. A single careless word, a rumor slipped into the wrong ear, could bring ruin. And so, the Golden Lily earned its reputation as a place of quiet efficiency and unspoken agreements, a haven where a man could lose himself for a night, free from judgment and scandal, under the watchful, calculating eye of the woman who made it all possible.
Behind the Golden Lily's polished veneer were the women who kept its heartbeat steady, the girls. Their stories were as varied and rough-edged as the dusty roads that brought them here. Poverty, widowhood, abandonment, betrayal, the cruel twist of a man's promise broken. These were the grim truths that left many women with few choices and fewer chances. For most, this life was not a scandalous thrill, but a last resort, a harsh path to survival in a world that rarely offered a gentler one. Catherine understood this well, just as other renowned madams of her time, women like Mattie Silks or Jenny Rogers did. She knew that her business rested on the well-being and reputation of those who worked for her. So she set strict rules, clear expectations for behavior, hygiene, and how customers were to be handled. Regular health checks, though crude by today's standards, were enforced as a practical shield against disease, protection for both her women and her profits. Inside those softly lit halls, a strange kind of community took root. In a society quick to cast them aside, these women found in each other a bond of quiet solidarity. They watched each other's backs, shared whispered worries and small kindnesses, creating a fragile refuge within walls that were at once their prison and their protection. To the outside world, the Golden Lily was a place of secrets and sin. But for the women within, it was also a haven, a place where they carved out a measure of safety and control, however small, in a world eager to take both away.
But for all its careful structure and quiet elegance, Catherine's world balanced forever on a knife's edge. The profession, by its nature, carried danger like a constant companion. The fate of Lily, a rival madam from a nearby town, was a grim reminder of just how thin the line between profit and peril could be. Lily, known for her sharp tongue and a looser grip on discretion, was found murdered behind her own saloon. Her death a brutal warning of what can happen when the wrong man or the wrong rumor cross the threshold. News of Lily's end sent a chill through the Golden Lily. Catherine wasted no time. She tightened the rules, watched the door more closely, and brought in new muscle. A broad-shouldered bouncer with a calm stare and a reputation for ending trouble before it began. He stood by the door at night, a silent signal that violence would be met swiftly and that Catherine's house was no place for chaos. Still, no lock or hired fist could erase the dangers completely. Difficult men were a constant risk, rough miners flushed with drink and gold dust, drifters with nothing to lose. A madam had to be tougher than she looked, ready to drag a man out by the ear if needed, or stand behind her girls when things turned ugly. Some nights Catherine handled trouble herself, her voice calm but her eyes sharp as a knife. And beyond the drunks and brawlers loomed other threats, moral crusaders eager to shut her down, jealous rivals who'd gladly ruined her reputation, whispers that could poison her careful alliances with lawmen or local leaders. In this world, survival was never a guarantee. It was a daily fight, won through vigilance, quick wits, and the quiet steel that Catherine carried behind her silks and soft smile.
Despite all they gave to the towns that rose from dust and promise, madams like Catherine remained on the fringes, tolerated, needed, yet pointedly excluded from the polite circles that gladly spent their money by night and crossed the street to avoid them by day. The hypocrisy was as thick as the whiskey poured at the Golden Lily. Men who whispered her name in the dark turned their eyes away in daylight, while respectable women hid their gossip behind fluttering fans and polite smiles. Catherine understood this bargain well. She was a necessary sin, a convenient scapegoat for every moral failing the town refused to own. And yet, beneath that veneer of scandal, she knew her worth. She paid taxes, bought goods, hired staff. Her money fed local stores and lined the pockets of men who would never admit how much they depended on women like her to keep their towns alive. Catherine's story was far from unique. Across the West, other women carved out similar empires, staking their claim where few respectable paths existed. Maddie Silks in Denver was one such figure, known not just for her well-run houses, but for clever investments in real estate and the rare power of holding her own liquor license, a feat most men envied. She treated her girls well, too, helping them start fresh when they were ready to leave the trade behind. Jenny Rogers built her legacy in Denver as well, creating the lavish House of Mirrors, a place of velvet curtains and polished decor, where carefully chosen, well-mannered women entertained the city's wealthiest men. And then there was Pearl DeVere of Cripple Creek, who turned extravagance into an art. Her parties were legendary, but so too was her lonely end, a morphine overdose that whispered of the hidden toll beneath the glittering surface. Each of these women, like Catherine, was a study in contrasts, entrepreneur and outcast, caretaker and outlier, powerful yet perpetually vulnerable. Every day was a delicate balancing act. A new girl like Emily, arriving with nothing but a battered suitcase and nowhere else to go, needed guidance, protection, and rules. Catherine would sit her down in her modest office, ledger open beside her, and explain the house expectations, the cut of earnings, the promise of safety in exchange for loyalty and discretion. Then there were the visits from the sheriff, uneasy dances of small bribes and unspoken understandings, a few coins slipped into the right palm, a polite reminder to keep the trouble contained and the peace kept. On the floor, Catherine had to handle drunks who forgot their manners, men who mistook payment for permission to do as they pleased. She kept a steady hand on the reins, firm but fair, swift to ban a troublemaker, quicker still to defend her girls. Beyond her doors, the world could turn in an instant. Lily's murder had unsettled everyone, reminding Catherine and her rivals how thin their safety truly was. For once, old rivalries were laid aside. Catherine called together the other madams, competitors, but also, in times like these, a hidden sisterhood. In a back room hazy with cigar smoke and wary glances, they discussed protection, shared names of dangerous men, weighed the cost of extra muscle at the doors. In that room, grudging trust flickered to life, proof that even in an unforgiving trade, solidarity could be its own quiet shield. But no lock, no ledger, no whispered alliance could keep all the shadows at bay. Many women like Catherine paid a price for their survival, laudanum for the sleepless nights, whiskey for the sharp edges of memory, a hard shell that only grew thicker as the years passed. For all her silks and jewels, Catherine too must have known the ache of solitude when the lamps went dim, those fleeting dreams of a softer life that polite society would never grant her. And as the gaslights flicker low and the streets settle under the restless hush of the frontier night, Catherine retreats to her private room. Ledger closed, jewelry set aside, the echo of Lily's fate still whispering at the edges of her thoughts. Her story, like so many others, is a testament to the raw, complicated power of women who built their own empires when the world offered them no rightful place to stand. They were survivors, traders of secrets and illusions, architects of fleeting freedoms in a world quick to condemn the very need they served. And though polite history often tries to forget them, their mark remains, etched into the story of the American West, a legacy of grit and quiet defiance, always hidden in plain sight.